What's shocking? What?
You said Sunday that was nothing from what we saw from Richard. What's the angriest you've ever seen him?
Well, I've known Richard for 10 years now, so I've seen a multi-faceted face of Richard Sherman. So, um, yeah, that was mild. I can't disclose what his angriest moment was, so I'll leave that for you to guess.
How easy, I mean, from the outside, I guess people just look at that as that would take a while for people to get back on the same page. But it seems like for you guys, you guys have that ability, whether it's the relationships you guys have or just the professional environment or whatever. What is it that kind of lets it?
Yeah, I mean, we play a violent sport, and so at times you're going to have passionate people display their passion. And in those situations, in crucial situations, when you make mistakes, when you give up plays, or when things don't go your way, sometimes that passion comes out. But the thing about football players, athletes, our locker room in general, or specifically, I should say, we have some great leaders in there, and Sherm being one of them. And so when instances like that happen, where it's very easy for us to get back on the same page and continue to go forward because we've been through it before. You know, you go through that diversity so much as a team, as a family, you can reconcile it very quickly and get back to your purpose.
Do you feel this environment's so unique that this might be the only team that first could get away with that without getting fined or benched, and then can come back from it and unify like that?
I mean, I can't speak for other organizations. I've only been in Seattle, but for the most part, I think a lot of organizations, a lot of teams have that family dynamic where guys don't necessarily always get along. They might not always agree, and they display their passion. Again, this is a very aggressive sport, and so sometimes that aggressive nature, especially in game time situation, comes out and is shown as passion. So I can't speak for other teams, but I definitely think that our environment is unique in regards to other things amongst that definitely contributes to us getting back on track.
Would you be in favor of instant replay for pass interference penalties?
Absolutely.
Back to the incident on the sideline, we asked Pete on Monday, he obviously was aware of what was going on, but he stood away from it and kind of let the players take care of it. Did that surprise you at all, that that's how he let it play out?
No, we're grown men. We can handle it. Pete knows that we go through those instances at times, and he understands that together as grown men, as family members, we'll figure it out.
Like, how much does staying focused on the overall goal help in those situations when, games, even practices, when, there's adversity?
Well, it's not necessarily losing focus on the overall goal. I think it's so much of us focusing on the task at hand and the overall goal in general that, that passion is what it's rooted in. We don't want to give up plays because the ultimate goal is to win. And so when you feel like in that moment you've done something, or collectively you've done something to hurt your team, that passion comes out. So I don't think it has anything to do with losing focus on the ultimate goal, but it contributes to that passion for sure.
Doug, in looking at the Cardinals on film after Monday night, are they pretty much the same team defensively as you've seen the last few years, or are there some wrinkles?
Yeah, there's some wrinkles. There are some changes. They've got some new personnel, but for the most part, they are still a very, very good defense. I think their record doesn't really show just how talented they are. They've been in some tough games. They've also won some big games, won by big as well. But their defense is stout. They're still steady at what they do, and so it's going to be a great matchup for us on Sunday.
How is Tyrann Mathieu different now than the first time you played against him?
He's playing a lot of one-man, or one-high, I should say, as far as being in the back safety, and that's, I don't know why. I would conclude that it's probably because of his injury, taking him a little bit more time to recover from that. But he's still making plays. He's still out there showing that he's on the field, making his presence felt, and so we have to be aware of him wherever he is. And so I think there's some subtleties and differences in their defense because of that, but for the most part, like I said, their defense is still stout.
You excited at the prospect of potentially lining up against Daryl Simon?
Yeah, more so just because obviously you go against them all the time in practice. You don't really get to go against these guys in a team set or in a game time setting. So looking forward to seeing him again, just on a personal level, but also being able to play against him because it's the first time I'll be able to do that.
Speaking of guys you go against in practice, you've been seeing Earl Thomas in practice for 6 seasons now. What makes him the player he is?
It's funny you ask that because I've been actually really paying attention to Earl the past 2 weeks, just kind of studying him in the practice field. And what makes him unique, I think, is just his unwavering focus day in and day out, whether it be in the meeting rooms, on the practice field, and obviously in the game. He has an unwavering focus. And I try to get him to distract him in practice sometimes to see where he's at, but he's always got his laser focus locked on. And that obviously contributes to him having the success that he does in games because he's always prepared. He sees everything before it already happens. And that's why he played so big for us last Sunday.
Do you think that focus is something that can be developed, or is that just something you have or you don't?
No, you definitely have to develop. It's a skill. It's something that you have to you practice over and over again to perfect. And Earl has been deliberate with that. He's had deliberate practice at the mental side of the game and focusing, and he's taken that to heart. He's taken it very seriously. And again, that's why he's been so successful this far in his career.
In your angry Doug days, you've had moments like Richard, very passionate moments. Have you learned to redirect?
Well, I was never angry. I don't know why you guys keep saying that. I was just very passionate about the sport of football. I've been playing football since I was 6 years old. Any of you guys can, attest to this. If you've been doing something your entire life, you're very passionate about it. And when it doesn't go your way, sometimes it does display as anger. I would just call it passion because when I get off the field, it's not the same thing. Have I learned to redirect? I think I've grown. Obviously, my prefrontal cortex is developing, if not fully developed, at this ripe age of 28 years old. But in the same sense, I've been around enough to know what to expect. I've been in the system. I have my routines, so I can kind of just go out there and know what's going to happen, and it's second nature to me. So I guess I don't really have to feel like I have to control things that are not in my control anymore.
What do you do to try to distract Earl Thomas?
Say that again? Sorry.
What do you do to try to distract Earl Thomas?
Anything I possibly can. Go up to him and bump him in the middle of a play. Shout his name in the middle of a play, try to get him distracted. He'll wave at me. He won't look. He'll just wave at me, recognize that I'm there. Just different silly things like that.
What did you think when you first got here, the way he practiced?
Thought something was wrong with him. He always has this intensity about him, and just recently he has begun to open up and show more of his personality in the locker room and to us privately. So, it's been a good transition for him. He's so passionate about the game of football. He loves it, with all of his heart. And so he puts everything that he has into it, and you can tell on a day-to-day basis. And now he's becoming so comfortable in his routine, and he knows what he has to do to get focused in practice and in games that he has a little bit more time to show us who he really is.
Is he the same guy when he's playing ping pong or other competitive stuff you guys do?
Yeah, it doesn't matter what you put Earl into. If it's a competitive environment, Earl Thomas is going to be Earl Thomas with his laser focus and laser preparation. It doesn't matter what it is, whether it's an actual game of football or a game of Madden or FIFA or ping pong or hacky sack. It doesn't matter. Earl will be the true competitor that he is.
Deshaun Shett's really stepped up this year and really seems to have locked down that other corner spot. What have you seen from him in practice going against him?
Deshaun Shedd, that's what I've seen. He's been doing this for a long time. Obviously, the intricacies of playing corner, he's developed over time, working with guys like Sherman, like Earl Thomas, like Cam Chancellor, with the great leaders that he has back there. But he's really done all the work. He's done his due diligence to put himself in a position to be competitive at that spot day in and day out. And it was no surprise to us to see how well he's been doing because he's put in the work. And again, he's one of those guys that just exudes his passion on every play. He just wants to do good for his team and obviously for himself as well. But when you get around those guys that exude that passion, they're going to do well because nothing's going to stop them from excelling.
Offensively, where are the areas where you guys need to get better right now? Where's your focus?
A number of things. I think that first and foremost, we just have to execute at a high level across the board, whether it be in the run game, the passing game. We just need to execute more cleanly. Obviously, we'd like to get our running game up to par where we're used to it, just because that's our mentality. I know Pete has probably been saying that we want to be a balanced offense, and we want to be a balanced offense, but we also want to get our running game going to the standard that we've set previously. So I think that's one of our focuses, but obviously the rest of it is just maintaining that execution portion, making sure that we're continuously growing and getting better day in and day out.
What did you see from Nick Vannett when he was healthy, and how can he contribute moving forward?
Yeah, Nick reminded me of a young Zach Miller. Some of you guys were here when Zach Miller was here, and Zach was a true professional in every facet. And Nick reminds me a lot of him. He's a little bit faster than Zach was when he was here, but he has great hands, can block well, understands the schemes, understands his role in the offense, and we can put him anywhere, and he's going to be very successful. And also his work ethic off the field, that stood out to me right away. In that facet, he's very similar to Zach Miller as well.
How often do you look at the tablets on the sideline, and are those helpful to you during a game?
Yeah, we look at them after every series. We come to the sideline. Dave Canales, my receivers coach, he'll have the tablet ready, and he'll go through the pictures with us. And it makes it a lot easier for us to make our adjustments, to talk through the series and what happened previously on the field, so we can make our adjustments. And it's been a great help to us.
Would you like them to use video for those? I think they experimented in the preseason.
Yeah, we did experiment with the video. I loved it. I would prefer to have that if we could. Obviously, it's a little different from position to position. Some guys like the still images because then they can get more of the information that they need, especially on defense. But I personally like the video as well.
You heard Sherm. Do you think it helps the offense more than the defense?
It might. I think that as an offense, for video purposes, I get to see the moves that the defense is making while we're going through our plays, whereas defense is really just reactionary. So I would probably agree with that assessment.
If they don't have videos on those tablets, what's wrong with it? Are they any different than just the faxes, the pictures, the paper?
Well, the video, the images, the still images, it might be only 2 or 3 images of one play, whereas the video, you get to see it all the way from the snap or pre-snap to the finish of the play. So there's a lot more information that you can gain from that.
But I mean,
video.
if the NFL is not going to let video, they only did it in the preseason, right? So
Right.
if you're just going to have pictures on a tablet, is that any advantage over the paper fax pictures that you have?
No, not at all. It's the same thing.
So what do you prefer or care? Does it matter?
I think it's easier for our staff to have the tablet because they can just shoot it to the tablet instead of having to go print it out. And it also saves paper, if they want to be conscious of it. If they want to be conscious about that.
Okay.
Have you ever looked at the big screen of a replay during a game and learned something from that, or?
Not from the big screen. I haven't been able to learn something from it, no.
Anything else? Thank you.